that stuff. Give me 5, let me send you into this nutty jive. Go, man, go! It ain't very far. Shake it on down to this cool snack bar. Come on, Jill, give us a treat. A friendly pepper-upper with a tasty beat.
Drink Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper, 'cause it never lets you down.
Frosty, man, frosty.
Welcome to another episode of the Custom Underground.
The semifinals. Oh, man.
Finals.
It's been a while.
Seems like yesterday we just started this up and now we're here.
Yeah, it seems like yesterday we just started it up. Now we're already at the semifinals. But it's been a little bit of a break since we've had a podcast. So it's pretty exciting here because what we've missed since was the last Showstopper challenge. I mean, I believe we did that on video. And was that the last thing we've done on video? What was the last podcast about?
Last podcast, I think, was announcing the winners last round, and then we announced the Showstopper challenge via Icon.
Right. Okay, yeah, that's right. So we didn't announce the winners live like we normally would, but congrats to the winners for that challenge. That was BW and Frajay. So Frajay would have advanced to the finals. So you won't see him in the amateur category. And then BW picked out the power couples. So that kind of does lay the framework for this round that you're about to see here. That being said, power couples, 2 figures, 2 customs in 2 weeks. I mean,
that's insane. And also, just to clarify, for the amateurs, it's power couple or tag team.
True, yeah, that's a good point.
A lot of people in the comments were giving crap to people because they thought that it had to be a power couple only. So,
and that was to the the availability of fodder parts and stuff. So we wanted to take team because
through a little something here in the world, so it's harder to get parts, and yeah, so we tried to make it fair for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a really good round. So I don't want to preface it too much. Let's get into it. I got Rocket Jarones and NWF's scores up here. So that leads us to our semifinal round here. This is Action Figure Manipulators taking on Ivy's Custom Figgies. Man, this is a really tough matchup. Like you said, Action Figure Manipulator is the youngest in experience. I mean, not age-wise, but we're talking about how long you've been customizing. He's only been customizing months. So to see him here, even though it was with the Showstopper Challenge, he's definitely pushed it each and every time. And I'd say that about everyone as a whole. I feel like the amateurs and professionals really brought it this time and tried to one up each performance. So you see his Mil Mertes and Katrina here Pat, did you want to talk about you and Showstopper scores?
Okay, so looking at this, Showstopper has 10 for overall presentation, 8 for painting skills, 9 for likeness and originality, 8 for complexity, and 10 for workmanship, for a score of 45.
Oh, that's pretty good. And what did you have for this one?
I had this scored at 46, so pretty much equal to what Showstopper was thinking.
Okay, yeah.
I think it shows a lot of promise. Katrina, it should be Latino, I guess, right?
Well, yeah,
And
yeah.
so a little darker skin is what I'm trying to say. And the tattoos were a little bright, but overall, a really great presentation. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough with the skin tone, but I agree. I mean, Katrina is a little more tan and darker, but man, for two figures, it was pretty impressive, and I was right around there with you
figures
guys
in 2 weeks.
in
I mean,
2 weeks. Yeah,
that's-
and
For
so
someone newer, especially, that's pretty impressive.
absolutely, absolutely. And my score was a 43. I thought like the effort was really good. I liked the hit scan. I like the tattoos, the white highlighting. I wasn't necessarily a fan of. I wish there was some more decals on the, or I wish there was logos on the pants or on the boots. But it's still accurate. I mean, Mil Muertes, when he started switching over, he still had black pants, but I don't think he had the laceless boots. But either way, that was my score. Okay, so the NWF actually had it scored 40 points for Action Figure Manipulator. He said he really liked the effort put into sculpting on the mask. Neatening up the line work would take this to another level. Nice touch with the custom title belt. The inner leg portion of the crotch piece has not been painted, and there's a rough paint line around the bottom of the torso. Good effort on the tattoo, plus the chest and upper arm. It's a shame that he's not contoured this onto the arm to leave the remainder of the arm inaccurate. Would love to see some design work go into the tights for Mertes. Nice touch with the heels for Katrina. Her hairpiece would benefit from either some sculpt work or less blunt cut at the ends of the hair. Wow, at NWF, that was great feedback. This is the first time I'm looking into them too, so apologize in advance for any of the fumbleness.
I agree, though. The fire coming from the hand and the title, very nice touches.
I agree, yeah. And going with, I'll just go ahead and do Rocket Jabroni. Rocket Jabroni also had 37. He said the part choices aside from the arms work very well. Not a fan of the use of the generic Mattel tattooed arms mixed with painted tattoos. Would have liked to see the arm tattoos attempted. Skin tone in the head area is a little too light and doesn't match the body. But yeah, overall, still a great score as well for Action Figure Manipulator. And while I'm here, I'll just go ahead and read what they have for the opponent's scores. Ivy, that's not to undercut Action Figure Manipulator, but even Action Figure Manipulator, Justin was really putting over Ivy's work. And Ivy put on a clean Goldust and Luna here. It's just insane, the level of detail from the cast work to the removable accessories to the dyed hair, the actual hair, the clean paint job. Ivy really... I'll go ahead and read, while I'm at it, Rocket Jabroni, what he had. He had a 48 for Ivy. He said the painting is so smooth, so in explanation, or so smooth. Love all the accessories on Goldust. Or this is, jeez, way off. Yeah, no, I'm right. Goldust. There's two Goldust. There's a Goldust on the Professional. When I hold Goldust, my mind thought I was wrong. Love all the accessories on Goldust, especially how great the cast on his arm looks. The only thing I can see is, based on the reference photos, Goldust should have a tattoo on his right bicep. Other than that, phenomenal job. That was a 48 from Rocket Jabroni, who does very clean hand-painted tattoos, so that's a huge, massive compliment. And NWF had it really close too, 47. He said really nicely presented. Paint application on the whole is very smooth. Luna's hair looks incredible. Colors used on the head scan pops well, and line work is clean. Some paint rub noticeable in the ab crunch and waist joint on Goldust. He has used mixed media to great effect. The arm cast, socks, stockings, and Luna's hair are all perfect examples of this. They add another dimension to these customs. Goldust is missing tattoos on right arm. The outerwear for Goldust looks great and is nicely done. And that was actually pretty similar to my score. Well, I had the same score as Rock Jabroni. I had 48. So for Rock Jabroni, NWF, and I, we all have Ivy's custom figures going forward. That Goldust and Luna, I really can't put it over enough. Justin, Action Figure Manipulator, did a great attempt at Mil Muertes and Katrina, despite even hard time finding parts. But Ivy's custom figures really is like coming out and showing why he's really what's the word I want to say? Like he's really creative in terms of the kind of materials that he'll use to achieve the effect. So I'm definitely a fan of Ivy's now, since the tournament. So I've talked enough, but Pat, what do you got to say for you and Showstopper?
Well, first of all, the hair is actual blonde hair that he dyed pink. So that little, bit of extra in there is just amazing.
Oh yeah,
Showstopper has an overall 10 for presentation, 9 for painting skills, 9 for likeness originality, 10 for complexity, 10 for workmanship. He has a 48. I have a 48. So that means Ivy is advancing. You've pretty much said between all three of you everything I would have to say. But great job, Ivy. Great job, Action Figure Manipulator.
Yeah.
This is a tough round. All of these rounds are pretty tough. Everyone really brought their A game, and it shows, and we appreciate that as judges.
Oh, no, absolutely. And the one thing I would say is for Ivy's, man, the work was so clean that this is the kind of level that you'll want to bring for the finals. Because the one thing that I would want to say, though, just as a heads up, is that for the finals, well, right now, first of all, the only reason I'm saying this is because Ivy's got a real big shot at winning this tournament for the amateur division. And he's going to be going up against Frage and the winner of Strong Style versus Anonymous here. But Ivy is the big thing that he's going to have to nail going into the next round, I think. To walk out of this tournament the champion is going to be really nailing that attire down to the detail. You have the skills and the paint, the craftsmanship, the attention to detail. This is professional category level work. And another showing like this, and Ivy might be walking away with the amateur crown. I mean, he might save the amateur division here. But did you want to go ahead and, speaking of your guys' scores, talk about Anonymous and Strong Style? Okay. I'll pull up Strong Style's. Here's his Kenny Omega's pants. He ended up doing the Golden Lovers. It was a really cool. This would be a tag team, but you could also say this is a power couple because they kind of insinuate, that they're a same-sex couple. So I could see it go either way.
Best of both worlds.
What do you think? What are your guys' scores, Pat?
Okay, for the Golden Lovers, Showstopper has a 10 for overall presentation, 9 for painting skills, 8 for likeness and originality, 10 for complexity, 9 for workmanship for a score of 46 overall.
Wow.
I had a similar score of 44. I think it was really well done. The head sculpts are a little rough, but overall, I mean, the painting, it looks clean, crisp. He had t-shirts on them. The extra hands and everything turned out really great. And it was I think, in my opinion, it was a difficult people to attempt. So
it very was, yeah, absolutely.
And you see right there, he even sculpted the little feather that he has on the side. So a lot of good details in there.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, no, I agree. I'll go ahead and talk about Rock Jabroni's score first. With Strong Style, he gave 10, 9, 8. Well, this is 10 for overall presentation, 9 for painting skills, 8 for likeness originality, 9 for complexity, 9 for workmanship for a total of 45. He said not too fond of the heads, though they could have been done a little better. But other than that, really well done. The designs on the tights are both painted very well. And then for NWF, what he had for the scores was 9 for overall presentation, 8 painting skills, 7 likeness originality, 9 complexity, 9 workmanship for a total of 42. He said, overall, nice work. Shading to accurate, the muscle definition is a highlight, pun intended. Paintwork is good with a little more attention to neatening. Some of the edges could be very good. There is noticeable rub on the inner thigh and paint gathered within the right thigh joint. Ibushi's gear is notoriously difficult to tackle, and this is a really good effort. The kick pads in particular. Like the attention to detail with Kenny's hand gesture and the use of material for the belt. Ibushi's torso is not fully closed, which is a shame as it detracts from the figure. The head scans miss the mark for me. Kenny's hairline is too far forward, and hair color could do a little bit darker tones to offset the highlights. Koda's still remains too many of the Orton characteristics to be fully passable, but with additional work could really be something. Wow, NWF is... I get a feeling he's overcompensating for me winging it with his notes last episode. Those are amazing notes, bro. I mean, and I completely agree with a lot of those sentiments as well. 42 for Strong Style Customs. I actually had Strong Style scored at 43. I was really impressed with the braveness of the white, particularly on both the kick pads. That was really hard to pull off. The knee pad here, you can tell it's always tough because you have to scrape off some paint or paint it back white. It's not forgiving at all. Gold is also a tough color. You see a little bit of the shimmer in the gold paint. I like that. Not as much in the blue, but still in the gold. Like the shading on the skin, but the head's too for me. The head, the way this Omega head was painted, I kept seeing Chris Evans in it, so that was a little distracting for me. Captain America. I'm like, hey, that's Chris Omega. But, I mean, other than that, it was a great showing from Strong Style. Strong Style is really talented. He didn't do as many decals here, but he also did a lot of... I think this was all hand-painted, actually. And so with that Warbler and then the feather sculpting, Strong Style had such a great showing. He picked such difficult attires. And from knowing myself, having painted this Kenny attire, there's a hologram pattern effect to the tights that isn't being applied here. And I think that was really the big detractor for myself personally. But we'll go ahead and talk about Anonymous, who did Edge. And here you see some work in progress pictures here. But Edge and Vicky Guerrero.
Vicky Guerrero commented, great job on.
Yeah, he really did do a good job on her face. He did a good job this round. I'll say, first and foremost, Anonymous really had a cleaner paint job this time. I know I've been hard, or I've been vocal. I've never been trying to be hard because I've always looked at it. I've talked to him a few times, so I've always been as like a friendly level of pointing out criticism, but that if that gets taken too direct, this time it's been really great. The paint job's really smooth, and for me it was a really good custom. I scored it 46. I see NWF did the same, so he had the 8 for overall presentation, 9 for painting skills, 10 for likeness originality, 9 for complexity, 10 for workmanship, for a total of 46 as well. For outside of the box thinking, that paid off. Hand painting camo is tough, and he's made it look straightforward. Nice detail with the designs on the tights and kick pads. The R on the crotch looks great. The hairpiece of Edge is close, but not quite there. Looks good on the sides, with the top of the head and hairline looks matted and untidy, which I appreciate the sculpt work that was put into creating more accurate body shape for Vicky. The use of the jacks scanned for Vicky makes sense, but would like to have seen the right side of her hairpiece modded to have it lie flush with the torso in a more realistic fashion as opposed to sticking out. And I didn't mean that. The neck brace kind of threw it off for me, but NWF, I completely echo that sentiment. And that kind of attention to detail is why, NWF has absolutely won the tournament, but is even such a great judge because he can really pinpoint, like all of us are doing. And for me personally, I really like the subtle dry brushing effect on Vicky. I wanted to look at it and be like, oh, this wasn't enough done, and I wish there was a little bit more sanding sometimes, but the paint job on the blazer was a nice effect. I mean, it gave another depth to an otherwise normal paint job. And with that being said, Rocket Jabroni scored it very similar too, 44. which is crazy because that means Rocket Roni actually has strong style customs winning this one. And Rocket Roni's scores are 9 for the overall presentation, 8 for painting and decal skills, 9 for likeness originality, 9 for complexity, 9 for workmanship for a total of 44. He says great details in the entrance coat. Some of the line work could be better, but not that noticeable unless you're really looking at it, except for the forehead area. The added hair piece was done well. Nice highlighting on Vicky's hair and coat. So it's 44 to 45. He's got strong style winning. NWF had it 42 to 46, where he had anonymous winning. And the one thing I did want to say here too is that first, like, these scores for the amateurs are curved. A 46 or 49, I, at least speaking for myself, is not the same in the professional bracket.
Right, which only makes sense because
Right.
the amateurs are at a different skill level than obviously the professionals, so we kind of graded it accordingly to the category that you're in, whether it be pro or amateur.
Well, and then it's like, I don't see what we gain by, trashing on anyone's customs or being brutal and having it scored, relative to the pros, because we're not trying to knock on anyone's self-esteem here. And encourage, right? That's not encouraging. This is trying to be encouraging. And on top of that, the other thing though is that we don't want that entitlement though, where it's like, oh, I'm great, or everyone says I should have won. It's like, man, at the end of the day, there's judges here, and there's criteria being involved, and so you can have your 20 helpers. Yeah, you can have your people in the bar that all have their great advice, but if they're not the ones making the decisions, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day. But Anonymous really pulled it out for myself here. I'm going to let you go ahead and discuss you and Joey's scores here on Anonymous's first.
Well, first of all, I've enjoyed this rivalry very much. Mostly played out in the amateur chat of a few other places, but
which I've missed. Nothing.
Just seeing Anonymous and Strong Style going back and forth and having fun with it and competing and being competitive is really nice, and kind of what the tournament's about, a friendly competition. Showstopper had 10 for overall presentation, 9 for painting skills, 10 for likeness and originality, 10 for complexity, 9 for workmanship, for a total of 48. So wow. Anonymous has...
That's a curved score.
Him going ahead over Strong Style by 2 points. I like the modded hair. I thought that was a really nice touch. The jacket, which was a last-minute addition, is actually cloth. It looks rubber, but it's actually cloth. I thought he did a great job on the Vicky. Pretty much, I would echo a lot of things that have already been said, but the hand-painted camouflage on the tights. Yeah, so I think he did a really great job. I have him scored at 46, so I had Anonymous going forward 46 to 44.
That's good. That's great. Yeah, so that means Anonymous...
really close competition.
Very close competition. This rivalry is closed out now then, because it's going to be Anonymous advancing, which means it's going to be the triple threat for the finals of Custom Underground for the amateur division. Friday taking on Anonymous, taking on Ivy's Custom Figgies. So, yeah, round of applause to all those guys. Man, it's going to be a tough matchup. Going to be really tough.
Be an insane matchup.
Oh, man.
I don't look forward to judging that. That's said with all due compliments to these three, because they are going to bring it. It's going to be insane, and we're going to be nitpicking like the minute details of the figures, because I think that's how competitive it will be. So
yeah, I think we got to, Going on the next one here, going back to the pros, I guess it is time to go to the pros, right?
It's time.
Man, the pros, this is going to be a tough one. You guys are going to get ready because, probably going to make some people mad. Even though...
Average day at the office.
Right. So, we got Turbo Toys, man. Holy... This Johnny and Candace was amazing. The amount of work that Turbo Toys did for these figures in 2 weeks for 2 figures is really inspiring, and I think really why what really separated it from the pack. You know, Gargano would normally be not a crazy adventures character to do, given that he's got an official release, but Turbo Toys picked some very difficult tires, but then he also made the accessories a lot better, a lot more realistic. So with the straps, he was sculpted. The lines, that line work was super clean, that crisp. The blue, even with that little bit of the highlighting and the metallicness to it. He picked a really tough one. So even if it was a figure that Mattel had made, Turbo Toys version is much better and brand new. Like, it's a completely different custom take on it, and that's why I really appreciate it. But the Candace, geez, if you guys got to go watch Turbo Toys video on the making of this figure, because making of the set, but this figure is amazing. The sculpting of the boots were sculpted. You kind of take it for granted because they look so clean. You know, the knee pads, modding the torso, the chest. But I'll go ahead and let you have the floor first, Pat. You want to talk about your guys' scores here for Turbo Toys?
Yeah. Looking at Showstoppers here, he gave 10 for overall presentation, 9 for painting skills, 10 for likeness and originality, 10 for complexity, 10 for workmanship, for a 49. And
that's actually exactly what NWF had, for the record.
And that's exactly what I had, for the record. So there you go. I guess it's meant to be. I just like to echo what you said. Making a Johnny Wrestling not exactly adventurous, but when you put in line work, you put in the kind of metallic look, you put in the accessories, and then you do an almost perfect or perfect Candice LeRae and the details on her. I think he just really nailed it, and this is what the professional bracket's all about. He brought the A game, and it paid off.
No, absolutely. I second that. Actually, I had a 49 as well. This is Turbo Toys. For me, it was a near perfect figure. I mean, really, other than just some of the paint app, but it was really, really nitpicky because it's a perfect figure. I mean, Turbo Toys did great. All of the pros did great, and so this is really tough, but I'll go off of what NWF said for feedback. He said, really great pair of customs. The painted cast of Gargano is potentially the best Turbo has done, with the subtle modifications to the hair making it considerably more accurate. Both the tires blend his use of custom-made decals with the smooth paintwork to great effect. That's from the video. He really talks highly about the process. And I'll second that. The decal work is very well done. That's what made me really attracted to the Turbo Toys' figures here. The lace work and then the seams on the laces were all greatly done in 2 weeks. So I'm not to get distracted here, but he's like both the tires blend his use of custom-made decals with smooth paintwork to great effect. I said that. Good use of materials for straps around Gargano's boots and wrists. The sculpted knee pads and boots and laces for Candice work perfectly. The modified torso for Candice is a clever use of existing parts that work to great effect. Subtle paintwork for the makeup works well. Nice touch with the custom-made entrance shirt for Gargano. And I completely second that as well. Rocket Jabroni also had it at 49 for 10 overall presentation, 9 painting skills, and 10s across the board with everything else. His notes were a lot of modification and sculpting done to LeRae, which not have known if it wasn't shown, which is a compliment. Again, watch Turbo Toys' video. We'll have to share that on our Instagram, but you guys got to see it because the in-depth work, it's really entertaining watch and explanation. And it really puts over the work even more so, that you wouldn't have known, just like Rocket Jabroni here said. He said,
I'm so happy he does those videos.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to watch his process and how he thinks and how he approaches everything. And you can learn a lot from watching him. So
from beginning to finish, too, like from the figures. And
also, I'd say that for me, I'd rather buy a custom than the Mattel release because of things like this. The subtle differences that customizer will put in, and he can go all at it. Mattel has to make 1,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000 figures, but a customizer only has to do particularly one, and they can put all the love into it that they want. So
yeah, and that's with the the mass produced. You got budgets too, and that's something I've thought about lately too. It's like it's even with one figure, one of a kind, truly one of a kind. You really have like no limits. You can really custom sculpt everything because it's just going to exist on this one piece. In essence, it's a lot like a tattoo, right? It's not going to live with you forever, but you're going to sculpt it and you're going to do all the work to it, and then it's just going to go off and kind of either be worn, either be displayed, either age well, and your work from there is kind of just locked in that period of time. And Turbo Toys, to knock these out in 2 weeks, when, like he said on the video, it would normally take months or years, is really a compliment to the level of competition that this contest has brought out. Turbo Toys, hats off, bro. You killed it. Absolutely killed it. I'm a sucker for zebra paint. I like to think of myself like a kind of a zebra guy that does paint that very well, and you nailed it. I mean, that's why I love the figure. That said, we'll go on with your opponents, which was Forbidden Figurines, which is the next one. And Forbidden Figurines did a custom Triple H in China here, and that China's head sculpt is all sculpted. Not to mention her body and her proportions there. And then she also sold Triple H's outfit too, which was an absolute power couple. Before there was Triple H and Steph, is Triple H in China. So, Pat, you want to talk about your guys' scores for this?
Okay, looking at Forbidden for Showstopper, he gave a 10 for overall presentation, 10 for painting skills, 8 for likeness and originality, 9 for complexity, 10 for workmanship, for 47. And looking at my score, I also did the same. I really like the fact that we have a China coming out, but she was bold enough to do one. It turned out really well, I think. You can tell about the sculpting and the proportions. But, compared to the others, or at least compared to Turbo, I feel it was a little less than what Turbo did.
And see, to me, I'll read NWF's work here too. He said he had really close to you guys. He had 9 for overall presentation, 10 for painting skills, 8 for likeness originality, 9 for complexity, 10 for workmanship, for a total of 46. He said he really likes the skin tone painting and shading on both of these figures. The muscular definition on China and Triple H's repainted hit scans, the real standouts. The sculpting work shown on China is smooth and accentuates the figure. Forbidden Figurines has set a very high standard for herself with her detailed head scans. In this instance, the scan for China misses for me on the likeness front, which is a presentation. From the presentation standpoint, the light box is noticeable and detracts from the aesthetic of the image. NWF and then Rocket Jabroni here put down 47. He had 10, 10, 9 for likeness originality, 8 for complexity, then 10 for workmanship, for a total of 47. The flesh skin painting is top notch as always. Looks like sculpting was done to add more muscle to China, which looks great. Nice addition of fabric denim jeans, but is on a bit of the baggy side, though painted well. China's hit is lacking a little bit on the resemblance side. And for me, I had her scored at 48, and that was tough, because for me, I really love this figure, first of all. I mean, like, I know since we're getting a China, everyone's like, now we're getting China, but there was a long period here where we're not getting a China, and yet there's still not a China. So with the gloves, the muscular definition, how it's blended in, the way it is, how smooth it is from the calves to the thighs, just on a bodybuilding front, even sculpting you can tell really China. And I'll say this, and to not only Forbidden's credit, everyone's credit. You have 2 figures in a 2-week time frame. I fully expected to give another week out just based on the craziness of the challenge, but BW really said it, and he is like, 2 weeks, 2 figures. This is supposed to be the tough competition of it. But with that being said, Forbidden, everyone had to kind of focus on one figure. I'll say this, not everyone had to. But it would be perfectly logical to allocate a lot of your majority of your time on one figure to go ahead and make the other power couple, kind of like a manager and wrestler. You're gonna try to balance your time well. You could tell Forbidden put a lot of her time into the China of this. The custom head sculpt. For me, I can see some likeness. I do. I think the thing that is tough, China had plastic surgery throughout the course of her run, so you'll see her cheeks change, you'll see her chin change, and you'll see her nose change. And that, in effect, is a big part. But what you won't see change is that kind of face for the eyes. So, although it's a bit on the thinner side and it's not as square for the chin, round as the chin, but still squarish, the eyes really well. And that does show China for me. She's always had the same eyes, obviously.
And to what you said also, there is no previous China out, so everything that she does, she has to do from scratch.
Yeah.
And China has a unique body, obviously, because she's a little bit more muscular,
Huge,
and things. So she has to do all that from scratch, and that's a real good credit that in 2 weeks she was able to put that out.
Well, then, yeah, you got to be able to sell the figures too, and so like the China though, Forbidden really knocked it out of the park there for me. The one thing it comes down to, it's just really tough. It was really tough. I'll go ahead and we'll go on to the next figure, right? Because that's the scores. But I'll definitely say the sculpt work too on the chest and the buckles, along with the gloves. I really like the dimension and the overall presentation of China. The Triple H, the head scan was painted perfectly. The clothes fit very well. Yeah, the denim is a little bit baggier. I would like to, maybe see a little bit more of a... Well, that's kind of the denim color that he would wear anyway. So, at the end of the day, great figures by Forbidden. And this leads to the... I don't want to say drama, but we'll say difficulty of what happened to lead us to this last round here, which is Chase. And the reason Chase ended up filling in was because Nick couldn't compete for this round. So, did you want to talk a little bit about that real quick, Pat? Why Chase is here? While I pull up Chase's pictures here.
Well, obviously Nick had some school issues where the work was a little bit more than what he had anticipated, so he had to drop out. We felt it was only fair to go to his previous opponent, who that was a very, very super close matchup. So we thought to bring Chase back, and when we brought Chase back, we gave him the full 2 weeks because he came a little later in the process. And, Chase coming back was awesome because, like I say, the last round, it was really close, and he absolutely nailed this Gold Dust power couple, and I'm impressed.
Absolutely, and the fact that he was able to step up, and that's why we're a week later too. Just like you said, it's about a week offset, so Chase had an extra about a week to finish his figure. It's a little less than that
of the fact that he came in late.
Right, but so he had the same time.
It's not like he had extra time.
You're right. He had the exact same time as everyone else, but because he started later, his submission came in later. So go ahead. You want to talk about your scores on that?
Okay, so Showstopper Customs gave him a 10 on overall presentation, a 9 on painting skills, a 10 on likeness and originality, a 9 on complexity, and a 10 on workmanship for a 48.
That's very well deserved.
I saw the process of this on his page where he had like a little thing and all the parts were there and he was spray painting. What an amazing job to get the gold so crisp. And then he took a figure that might not need as much work, and he gave, the cloth accessories, the golden heels. He did up the hair. He included a title. He included the chair. I also had him at 48. I think it was an absolutely amazing job. And as with Forbidden figures, as with Chase, in most rounds, and Turbo, obviously, in most rounds, any of these figures would have won. But unfortunately, they're going head to head, and you know, it's insane that they put in this much work in just 2 weeks. I mean, I'm impressed.
No,
By all
I completely second what you said. NWF actually had 48 as well, and his comments on it was that outside of the box. And for the record, I had 48 as well. The thing is, for me, such an amazing. The gold really pops, and I'm really happy with how much more realistic the set as a whole looks. The Marlena is a little bit of the standout for me because she hasn't been done, and Chase really nailed her. I like the dress. I think that's a smart choice. It's classy. The skin tone painted very well. It's all that same gold tone. So, and with the cigarette and their flowers. I mean, it's just such a great pairing, and they were actually a real life couple too. So, great choice with the Goldust and Marlena. NWF's points on it was outside of the box effort from Chase that hits the spot. The gold repaint for Goldust makes a significant difference to the figure. It looks really crisp and smooth with an effortless metallic look that evokes his suit perfectly. The black line work is neat. Silver is notoriously hard to paint well, and he managed to achieve it to a great effect here. Agreed, absolutely. There are a few areas of uneven paint rub within the ab crunch and some silver at the base of the neck on the base of the figure. Love the reconditioned director's chair prop in the presentation of the figures. The skin tone and head scan repaint from Marlena is really effective and well done. The scar is a really nice touch, as is the repainted IC title. And although, I mean, these are like accessories, they're not necessary elements of the criteria, NWF's just pointing out, I mean, this whole package really is just a sight. I mean, when you look at it, it's like gold on both figures, and it's they're just really attractive figures, man. Chase on Rocket Jabroni's also got a 48. Amazing here. He had love all the gold and applied very well for such a hard color. Great line work on the upper torso. Marlena looks great along with the custom dress. Love the overall presentation with all those accessories, especially the director's chair. So, what a crazy...
I love this picture right here. Just how she's posed with her leg up, and she's got the cigar, and I mean, it looks like, you're backstage, and you just happen to catch them in a moment. So,
no, absolutely.
Really good job with the photography.
And that means Turbo Toys is moving forward to the finals, which is just amazing. Like, man, what a pathway here. Him and Demon Prince were held in a very competitive multi-draw battle where we ended up splitting them up, putting them on each side of the bracket, and Turbo Toys emerges victorious. Wow. And that you can see Nick's Custom Toys work in progress. What would have been, he, like Pat said, had school to take care of, and that is a priority here. So he gave us enough notice ahead of time. What a great matchup.
We appreciate that, by the way.
Absolutely.
If you can't compete and something does come up, as is life, there's lots of crazy stuff going on in the world right now. Just let us know as soon as you possibly can, because then we can work some magic and we can try to get things back on track. So always let us know as soon as possible.
And with that being said, going into the next round, piggybacking off what Pat said, unfortunately, Demon Prince had to pull out, and he did let us know as well. And hopefully he can come for the Gift of the Gods, which we'll do a quick recap on the end of this show here about that. But so what it comes down to for the other side of the bracket is Skull King taking on BEW. We didn't feel like we were going to put anyone in that position. Chase was really exceptional because he had a very competitive match with Nick that could have gone either way. With that Tommaso Ciampa, the Borderlands was just incredible. And so he really, it could have been in just the same. So glad to see Chase fill in. But that being said, it's only a head-to-head matchup on the other side. Skull King taking on BW, and they both did Scarlet and Cross. And so we're going to go ahead and show you Skull King's first. And actually, objectively, a really good attempt outside of potentially the fact that BW will do one too. So we won't address that yet. But this is a different matchup because
for both of them to choose the same people, I think.
Yeah, and this is what our finals will look like. Last year too, the same character. It's a lot easier to judge when it's head to head. For better or for worse for you guys, but for better for us. So, Pat, do you want to go and talk about your guys' Skull King scores first?
Okay, so Showstopper, overall presentation 10, painting skills 7, likeness originality 8, complexity 9, workmanship 10 for 44. And let me just look right here. I had very similar. I had a 45. I think overall it's a great figure. It looks a little bit glossy to me.
It is, I
And
think, yeah.
What's that?
I think it is, yeah.
So that detracts from it a little bit. Also, it's you don't want to compare, but you have to compare. And going up against who we went up against and all that, it is what it is.
It's tough.
But look at that right there. I like the polka dots on the bikini or whatever you want to call that particular thing. The metal, I thought he had lots of great little additions that make the figure overall better.
Yeah, he really did, and all these great additions. I'm the same one. I had 44. These great additions were offset to me by Cross. I wasn't a fan of the head scan. It looked too much like Triple H. And then you can see like on this picture some of the roughness on Scarlett's paint work. She's still very incredible though overall. And this face is actually pretty reminiscent. I think he did a better job on the Scarlett's head scan than he did the Crosses. But I'll read what NWF had, and NWF scored it as a 45. And he said, well presented, 2 great customs. The painted tattoos on Cross's back are well done with good tone and shading. The decals on the chest are applied well. Arm decals lack accuracy. The hit is good effort with good eye for detail with a sculpted vein. For me, it's hard to get past. It's Triple H's foundation. Some additional modification like sculpting over the wrinkles may have been beneficial. Good use of Ultimate Edition parts for Cross. Bordeaux looks great, especially good work on the scan. Good attention to detail on the attire. Really like the use of metal links at the top. And that's Ed for Rocket Brony. He had it scored at 44 here for Skull King, and his comments were good base Cross, except the head choice could have been better. Great head choice for Scarlett. The tattoo decals were applied very well, but a little off center on the bicep area. While parts of the Cross logo on the tights were a bit rough. Great detail on the head vein. So that's what it is for Skull King. Great attempt overall. I think the Scarlet is really a standout piece. I like the laces. I like the sculpted accessories. I wish I think there's a little more standing that needs to be done, but given that 2 weeks, 2 figures, really impressive. Not a fan of the Triple H body and everything for Cross. It really seemed almost too easy for a really easy looking Cross. I mean, I'm not talking about the custom, but Cross's attire, tights and kick pads. So it's tough, but that being said, he's going up against BW, so I could see how anyone is going to be pulling their punches because it's intimidating. Because VW, this is his figures here, and this is just, to me, insane. Actually, I'll say this. It's not only insane. This, to me, is the very definition of what I think a champion of Custom Underground ought to look like. And with Rocket Deroni and NWF before them setting the bar so high,
2 separate heads.
Brian at BW here is
2
showing
separate heads in 2 weeks. Plus
is the future. Yeah, this is insane. This is 2 weeks. He picked the challenge. He obviously knew he was going to go hard, but man, I just got to say, I'll put over it first and foremost. I have a 50, obviously, but the incredible details that were sculpted in this figure, from the tattoos, the painted, hand-painted, how well they contour, the standout for me are really the 2 cross heads, though. The heads are just incredible likenesses.
Big cast heads. modified,
bases. Yeah, highly modified.
highly modified. But
Let's say
just,
big cast eyes.
Yeah. the eyes and the eyebrows, I think, really sold that. I think that's why Big Cass was a good selection for this. I
Yeah.
think that was really smart.
Yeah, and then I really love particularly how the gloss, how it's used. With this Pentagon line that I'm working on, and same with the Phoenix. One of the toughest things that I've done is black on black, gloss on matte, and that's been challenging. And BW has used it as an effect. I've always said it this way: you got one color, you could have 3 finishes. Depending on how you want to finish it, you could have one pair of legs black, and you can just have a matte finish and then a gloss varnish that you can create 2 different colors on. And that's exactly what he did here with Scarlett's, with the beads. They look like black diamonds or black crystals embedded into her corset. I don't want to say the fishnet leggings are just incredible. Like the fishnets, the way he did that thread and Mod Podged it, and how well they look. They just look so realistic because I can feel, like, what I'm trying to say is I can see and I can imagine how they feel because of the texture, the way they look raised. The boots, the glossiness on the boots is like that high, over the knee, sexy boot that Scarlett always likes to wear. That's patent leather black. I mean, just a sexy figure overall, man. Incredible VW. 50 from me. And that's being objective, you guys. Like, VW is obviously a business partner of mine. We've collabed in the past, and he's a good friend, but I've been really objective. I pride myself in being objective for this judge. All you guys put in a lot of work, but this is a level of work on another level.
For a second, if you would. Okay, yeah. So from here, basically down, is all modded. He ripped that out.
Oh, you mean? For here.
And then he sculpted the open mouth and everything. Yeah. So from here down, it's basically completely different figure. Amazing. There you go. That's the picture right there on both of them. So the amount of detail and work that went into this is absolutely insane, incredible. This is what the finals look like, and I can't wait for next round personally. But for myself, 50. Showstopper, 50.
Yeah, and needless to say, 50 for these guys on their end. But I won't. I'll tell them. Well, actually, Rocket Jabroni had a 49. Rocket Jabroni had a 9 in the likeness originality. And I'll read Rocket Jabroni's first thing here. Only 2 critiques. And this is obviously being really nitpicky. He says, see the resemblance on Scarlett, but something is slightly off in the mouth area. Cross's knee pads are open in the back. Otherwise, another stellar entry for BEW. The screaming scan is perfect. Love the inclusion of the details on boots and head vein. The tattoos are extremely well done. And, I mean, you can't see it either, but the knee pads, he sculpted custom knee pads on this Killer Cross, which is just, I mean, really is unbelievable. But Rocket Jabroni, really fair points there, too. I don't think BW will have anything bad about that. And then 50 from NWF said to set the high bar with the round choice and then met it superbly. Presentation of the figures are excellent and enhances overall feel. Hand-painted tattoos are intricate and expertly done. Uses interchangeable heads and Ultimate Edition arms to create effect. The 2 scans conveying Cross's persona well. Likeness is excellent, and the detail of the teeth and gums is a particular highlight. Bordeaux is a real triumph. Facial likeness is spot on. I actually agree. Scarlett makes a lot of faces, and her lips do make that kind of face too. So, attire is spot on. Detailing of the straps on both front and the back of the singlet is intricate and clean. Fishnet detailing and boots look incredible and enhance the part choices. So, man, just incredible work. Entry from BW. He's gonna be really hard to beat here in the finals.
Can you imagine being that young, yet being that talented? I mean, I wish I was that talented at that young age.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely amazing.
Absolutely set the bar. And with that being said, BW advances to the finals, which for many spectators might have been a foregone conclusion. I would say that he's proven even the biggest skeptic in this custom underground with the customs he's entered, the biggest hater of BW, if there ever could be such a thing, can't now. He's undeniable now. These figures are so damn good that it is undeniable that this is a level of which someone is going to have to stop him in order to prevent him from being the champion. That being said, it's going to be BW taking on Turbo Toys, taking on the Gift of the Gods challenge. And we haven't had a podcast about this round. And those who are familiar are familiar. But I'm going to go ahead and switch back to split screen here and just discuss real quick what this round means for those of you still are eliminated from the competition. Although we don't have a lot of time with the Showstopper challenge, the details of which are posted on our Instagram. The challenge essentially is derived from the Lucha Underground TV show, which is the Gift of the God belt, which the Gift of the Gods created a shot of the title, created an instant title shot. So we kind of twisted that in order to be a comeback from the dead kind of thing, to where this winner of the Gift of the Gods is going to end up right back in the finals. And I think, was it Creature Will that did it last time, or was it Nick? I can't remember, but it was Nick, NWF, and Creature Will in that three-way, and Creature Will's gunning it for this time too again. And this is really everyone's eligible to participate, even Forbidden Figurines or Demon Prince or Nick Custom Toys, Skull King. Chase. Even though I'm sure he's like,
all right, just get to it. I'm excited about this theme. Tell him what the theme is.
With this, it sucks because you only get less time if you're eliminated now. But the theme for this one is a split personality, or a split half and half character. And this was Pat's idea, coming up with the Custom King, who is a good friend of mine, did a half and half Mortis and Canyon. I actually think Chris Hero owns that figure, one of them, and it's just an amazing figure and such an amazing concept that's what you're going to have to do for the Gift of the Gods. You're going to have to create, let's say it was Killer Cross and another gimmick he had, or, unmasked Rey Mysterio and a masked Rey Mysterio. You're pretty much merging two different...
Ben Balor, Demon, something like that.
Two different timelines of the same wrestler into one figure in a concept piece. So a lot of it is art choice too. Who are you going to pick? What attires are you going to pick? That's Absolutely. A tough question there, What I was going to say with that, though, is that we don't know who's going to compete, and if you just got eliminated this round, I could see why it might not be enough time for you to compete. But the Gift of the Gods is pretty much built in for us to have a triple threat into the finals here. So you'll see a triple threat in the amateurs already. This is going to be the way we get our triple threat here in this round. I'm not aware
highly encourage you to participate if you do have the time to do so. It is a shot for a triple threat in the finals. So we're playing for big money here. Come with your best, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was just going to pull up while you were saying that. I was going to pull up the deadline for this year.
I don't know if it's a gift or not. You're going against Turbo and BEW. So that's pretty tough. That's already a tough matchup, and someone's going to come in, and it's going to be a three-way. I can't wait.
I had a quick little cut here because as I was looking it up, we had a quick sidebar as Pat was talking. I was looking up the deadline date here, and I noticed that it said June 11th, which I felt like that'd be crazy because I completely blanked that out when I was talking about Forbidden and everyone else entering or Chase entering. So we discussed it, and what we're going to do, Pat and I made a decision here on the fly. We're going to add another week. So even if you're working on...
Executive decisions on the fly.
If you're working on your figures now, you get another week breather. If you just got eliminated, although you're obviously, it's still not a lot of time, but at least it's a fighting chance if you wish.
It's not a lot of time, but look what they just did. They did 2 figures in 2 weeks.
True.
So, it's very possible to do. We encourage you to do it. We hope that you do it. It is a chance to go to the finals for a triple threat match to win the Reaper Cup.
And that being said, the original deadline was going to be June 11th, going into that Friday at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time in the U.S. here. We're going to push that to the June 18th. And we'll have to make a Facebook post so we can remind us collectively tonight, or an Instagram post saying that we changed it. But going to the 18th at 11:59 Central Time, so pretty much right before it turns into Friday the 19th, is when the Gift of the Gods is due. Professional bracket. We're going to judge it. We're going to pick one winner. That winner's going to shoot straight to the finals. On that episode, we're going to go ahead and lay out the rules for the finals. So we're about a week out until we can go ahead and tell you guys the final category. We might be earlier with the amateurs, but I think they're going to remain the same. So stay tuned. We
know that it sucks to have to wait an extra week to find out who you're doing in the finals, but I really do feel that this was the right decision to be made, and we hope that you understand. And thank you for listening to all of our long-windedness, and we will see you next episode.
See you guys.